All right, so let's stay in the NFL, but play the check down game. We will ask a question and provide multiple answers to the question. Then we will select the answer we think best responds to the question, similar to a multiple choice question. When you
why couldn't you do the intro at this pace, bro? This is what I was expecting from you. But go ahead.
Because you aggravate me. I want you to know how
I can piss you off
before the
show if it gets you on your shit.
To be aggravated.
Yeah. Go ahead. Ask the question.
So the first question: more to blame, Lamar or Zay Flowers for the Ravens' loss?
I'm gonna stay consistent. It's Lamar. He's the franchise quarterback. He's the MVP. He's probably going to be the MVP for a second time. It's mainly on him to carry this team.
Yeah, it is Lamar, unfortunately. And unfortunately, the QB, as we always says, sometimes gets too much credit and too much blame. And that's the way it should be here. And to be honest, like that, you talked about the penalty for Zay Flowers. There's no guarantee they score a touchdown there anyway. Like even before the fumble, right? Had he not gotten the 15 yards.
Yeah, so, I agree with that. I said it in terms of it was just so unnecessary. Like you got to be smarter. Like you know the situation you're in.
But he is a rookie. He is a rookie. And I think that's why Lamar unfortunately has to take more blame because we're comparing him to a rookie that made a rookie mistake in terms of Zay Flowers. All right. More to blame, Dan Campbell or the mistakes by the Detroit players?
Yo, I know. I love the guy, and I know everybody's sticking up for him, including his players. But Dan Campbell blew this one. Bro, you got the 49ers down on the road this big at halftime. Like, I don't know where you watched this game, but I was out watching this game. Like, everybody in this bar thought this was over. Like, all the 49ers fans, I saw them in their little corner. They were so quiet. And as that game kept going on, they just got louder and louder, and they eventually kicked the Lions fans out at the end. Like, that's how bad you knew this game was at halftime. And it's on Dan Campbell. Like, you are coaching to go to the Super Bowl. All that bite the kneecaps, we're going to be us and be aggressive. That shit is out the door. Like, you only get this opportunity so many times, especially when Jared Goff is your quarterback. You have coached Jared Goff to a blowout on the road in the NFC Championship game. Bro, you got to do everything you can to make sure that this continues. And Dan Campbell did not. It is on him.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately for Dan Campbell and the Lions, it's on him. So the first one, he went for it on 4th and 2 from the San Fran 28 with 7:03 left in the third quarter. And they were up 24-10. Now, halfway through the third, San Fran drove on their opening drive, got only 3 points. You come back, kick the field goal, get 3. You don't need to be macho man here. You don't need to be stepping on. I mean, yes, you do want to put them away, but just continue that 17-point lead.
But you want to kill somebody
game
intelligently.
That's a 3-possession game. By you going for it and not getting it, guess what? 2 possessions. And you saw how fast that momentum turns.
And to your point, like I like how everyone's always like talking about like, oh, the analytics say do this and that. I know damn well the analytics did not tell Dan Campbell to go for it in that situation.
Well, I have the analytics, and what I was going to say is, I'm an analytical type of guy when it comes to this situation.
Even spell analytical.
So it said if you go for it, 90.5% chance to win the game as opposed to attempting a field goal, 90.3%. Then the second one he went for, remember, 4th and 3 at the San Fran 30 with 7:38 remaining in the fourth. They were down, 3 points at that point. A slight chance of winning, 39.1% going for it compared to 38.8% by kicking the field goal.
So the odds say just stay in your lane and play it safe. Like I knew the analysts was going to agree with him doing what he did not do.
Yep, unfortunately. All right, so more impressive, the 49ers comeback or the Chiefs defense?
Oh, 49ers comeback. I'm sorry, like I said, man, this game, be honest, this game looked over. Like when you saw that game at halftime, you were like, damn, this is exactly what they do. Shanahan choking in this big game. Brock Purdy looking like the superstar people think he is. And if you were out, you could see it on people's faces. Like everybody thought this game was over. And I think what the 49ers did to come back in that situation with that pressure on the line, I thought that was more impressive. I'm not saying by much because pinning down an MVP like Lamar on the road is very impressive too. But I mean, I got to go with the 49ers coming back just because I thought the degree of difficulty was higher.
This isn't even close. It's the Chiefs' defense way more impressive. JT, I'm sorry to say this to the Detroit Lion fans, but it's the Detroit Lions. We knew it was too good to be true. We really did. We knew something was coming, and it's better that it happened.
And you would have said the same thing about the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan if the 49ers didn't come back. You would have. That's what I'm saying. You would have said the same thing. Oh, this is what Shanahan does. He chokes in big games. Oh, fine. Brock Purdy, this is why you're the last pick in the damn draft. This is why you ain't better than Jordan Love. We would have said, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the degrees of difficulty are not the same, but the end task that they completed was similar. Like, I think the 49ers having to come back like that is big time, man.
I disagree because 49ers at home playing a team that is not as good as Baltimore. Come on, Baltimore beat Detroit by 30. So, at home, San Francisco, KC on
the Lions were beating the mess out of the 49ers like Baltimore did when they played them earlier in the year.
Okay, irrelevant because they came back. What I'm saying is that Baltimore was at home, San Francisco at home. Kansas City's on the road playing the MVP. Is Jared Goff the MVP? Has he ever been the MVP of the league? No. So, and you had Mark Andrews back, and the Chiefs' defense was injured. Did Willie Gay play? No.
Not Willie Gay.
Hey, he's one of their top defenders. I'm sorry to say. He really is. So, all those factors on the road, Lamar's MVP, Mark Andrews back, and you're without some of your key defensive pieces, and you still look that good. I mean, they looked dominant, that KC defense. Come on. Let's be for real. Let's be honest. All right. More likely, the Lions have peaked or the Lions are on the verge of a championship.
Ooh. I got to go with the Lions have peaked. And I think this is the case because this team's ceiling is tied to Jared Goff. And I think what we've seen from Jared Goff the past year and a half, I think is the ceiling for this team. Like we talked about this before. Like, this is the best football he's played in his career, and I think we've seen the ceiling. Like, this is it. I don't see them getting back. Like, they might make the playoffs and be around, but going to the NFC Championship game and being dominant looking like this, I just don't see it long term for them. As long as Jared Goff's the quarterback, so I'm going to go with I think they peaked.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. And I'll mention some teams, like ask Buffalo, right? Like, you always think you're on the verge of a championship. Nah, you still can't get back to the AFC.
Look at the Bengals. Like, everybody swore they were going to be a dynasty.
Don't steal my thunder, bro. You went already.
Just weak if I could read your mind.
You went already. Philadelphia, right? They were in the Super Bowl last year, and everyone thought, oh, they're going to be back. They're the team to beat. They drafted who they end up drafting? Jalen Davis from Georgia.
That'd be the Philadelphia.
Yeah, Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Like, they drafted.
Just say random Georgia player.
Yeah. So everyone thought, like, oh, Philly reloaded. Here we go. No. And look at Atlanta when they blew that 28-3 lead to New England. Everyone thought it's all right. They'll be back. Their defense will get better. Like, no.
They just fired Arthur Smith. That's how far they fell.
Exactly. Like, it is not easy. And you mentioned Jared Goff, which is a really good point. But I look at the defense, JT. The defense isn't quite the best in the league. And they might be losing a really good defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn because he may take a head coaching job. So if I had to lean which way, I would say more likely peaked. I agree with you.
And I don't know if Jared Goff can elevate this team to a higher level than we've seen him play. And I think that's what it's going to come down to.
True. It's always about the quarterback play. All right. Bigger NFL future. Rashee Rice or Zay Flowers?
Oh, it's got to be Rashee Rice. He's playing with the number one quarterback of all time. Like, honestly, I do think it's Rashee Rice strictly because he's playing with Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, a lot of it's tied to that, man. When you've got Mahomes, Andy Reid, listen, and Rashee Rice, That's my guy. I gotta go with
Yeah.
Rashee Rice.
I will
Of
say this
course.
though. Can we apologize to Zay Flowers and
Yes,
give him
we own him.
his quote
We
unquote
own him,
flowers
Paul. We
because
do.
we
We
talked a
do.
lot of shit about Zay Flowers privately in the offseason from a fantasy perspective. Like it was a running joke for us. So we were in a dynasty league together. And that was the running joke whenever we'd make deals or have negotiations, like, oh, I don't want to be in the spot where I have to draft Zay Flowers. And now we wish we were because he ended up being really good. So us picking Rashee Rice is no disrespect to Zay Flowers. He's going to be a star in the league, but it's Mahomes, man.
I'll tell you what. Zay Flowers showed me something on Sunday. I know he had the fumble and the bad penalty, but he showed me that can be the guy that they go to when they
In
need
the
a
clutch,
play.
like the moment's not too big for him, and he's only a rookie.
Right. And he's explosive. I mean, come on. All right. So a bigger NFL future. Jahmyr Gibbs or Sam Laporta, both of the Detroit Lions.
This is tough, man.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
They look like studs. I'm going to go with Laporta just because I think he's probably likely to have a longer career doing what he's doing. I mean, Gibbs is a running back. He's definitely going to have a shorter career shelf life. But I just look at what Laporta did. Like, he basically became like a top 3 tight end like his first year in the league. So he's only going to get better. It's not like they're going to, lower his touches, or hit the percentage of the plays that go to him as he gets more experience in the league. So he's only going to get better. Like Gibbs, he's great, but he's always going to be in a committee. Like nobody's going to be like, all right, this is a 300 plus touch back that we're going to just build the offense around him. So just because of that, I'm saying Laporta.
Yeah, I hate agreeing with you. It doesn't make it as fun, but I say Laporta. Part of it's the timeshare. I got timeshare written down for Gibbs. It's hard to produce at a high level all the time when you're in a timeshare. Laporta is really the only tight end in Detroit. But with a running back, JT, not only that you bring up a good point with the short lifespan of an NFL career for a running back, but usually your production is tied to an offensive coordinator that knows how to use you properly, which Ben Johnson, yes, returning, but eventually won't be there, probably beyond next season. And then 2, it's tied to how good your O-line is. And we've seen in the NFL, your O-line might be really good one year, and then all of a sudden the next year, it's not as good, whether you lose the O-line coach, whether someone gets injured, where Laporta, yes, Jared Goff is not the youngest guy, but he's not old either.
You got to throw it to somebody.
Right. And he's young enough to where he's going to be there for many years. So, yes, maybe they lose Ben Johnson, but Jared Goff is a veteran now that says, hey, I don't care what the play call is. I know who my guy is when I need a certain situation, and I'm going to go to Laporta. So,
and yeah, to add on to your point, yeah, you're right. Let's say Gibbs goes to a bad team with a bad line. Like, he's not doing well, whereas, like, if Laporta went to a bad team, like that team could lose it. He could still get 1 million targets and he'd still have the stats. It's just hard to say like a running back's going to have a better career, especially when they're not a bell cow.
Yeah, and it doesn't take anything away from Gibbs. You and I are very impressed by him.
Very impressed.
It's just unfortunate the position the way it is right now in the NFL. And that's what he plays. All right, so more scary. I knew you threw this one in for me. I appreciate you.
Funny thing is, I threw this in there before it happened.
Mahomes' ceiling going forward is more scary, or Arthur Smith being the Steelers' offensive coordinator.
Hey, look, man, Mahomes might be the GOAT, but anything that Arthur Smith touches scares the shit out of me. It's definitely Arthur Smith as your OC. First of all, you guys got 2 wide receivers already that complain when they don't get 1 million passes thrown their way in a game. And we already know how Arthur Smith operates. Like Darnell Washington and who's the other tight end? Hayward, the backup tight ends.
Freiermuth, Hayward. You got
Freiermuth is starter. He's not getting the ball. It's Darnell Washington and the backup tight end Hayward. They're going to combine for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. And all the players are going to be mad. We've seen this happen in Atlanta for 3 years. Like, I don't think he's Matt Canada bad, but I don't know if he makes you guys take this great offensive leap that we like. There ain't no Derrick Henry on the Steelers to cover up his play calling. So that scares me more because I've seen what it can do to a team.
Well, listen, if this isn't the ceiling for Mahomes, man, then the whole league should be really scared. So I'm going to say what's more scary, the ceiling going forward for Mahomes, because if there's anything above the ceiling that he's at right now or the level he's playing at right now, yo, that is way more scary than anything. Plus, you just said it. We just came off of what 2-3 seasons of Matt Canada. Trust me, it can't get any worse.
Arthur
at this
Smith
point.
somewhere to hold my beer.
But the difference is he will just run the ball. He will just run the ball and figure out a way for Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren to get their yards. And at least we'll move the ball on the ground. I mean, you got to give Arthur Smith some credit on that. Come on.
No, I don't.